Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Labib's Info Zone. So my previous topic was on Houston Maritime Law. So I am going to discuss today on what is an offshore accident lawyer actually do and what they can offer. Okay, so let's begin with me. Uh, an offshore accident lawyer is a type of personal injury lawyer who helps offshore injury victims get the compensation they deserve. They actually sue companies for accidents that occur while working on an offshore oil rig or on the water. An experienced offshore injury lawyer can provide legal advice and representations concerning medical expense, lost wages, and pain and suffering. What does an offshore accident lawyer do? Offshore accident lawyers handle cases in admiralty law, which is also known as maritime law. Because offshore accidents involve a unique and highly complex set of laws that were exclusively created for the maritime industry. It's essential that victims of offshore accidents get help from an offshore accident lawyer who has experience handling these types of cases. Offshore accident cases are different from other types of personal injury and workers' compensation claims because their workers requires a deep understanding of the intricacies of maritime laws. Offshore accident lawyers offer legal representations to people who have been injured offshore using their specialized knowledge of admiralty law to help people receive the compensation they deserve for their injuries. What qualifies as an offshore accident? For an occurrence to qualify as an offshore accident, it must occur in navigable water. Usually, the term offshore accident refers to an incident that occurs on a vessel used an oil and gas company. Offshore oil and gas extraction methods require workers to work in open water and dangerous berths, rigs, and platforms. Some common examples of offshore accidents includes offshore drilling rig accidents, jack-up rig accident, offshore oil platform accidents, tugboat and accidents, workboat accidents, helicopter accidents, fire and explosions, mechanical failures, equipment malfunctions, on-deck accidents such as failing and being struck by an object. What is a typical offshore accident settlement? Offshore accident settlements are usually very high because the injuries are generally very bad, but because every offshore accident case involves a unique set of facts and legal issues, there is no typical offshore accident settlements. The type of damages that will impact the value of your settlement includes the severity of the injury, if surgery was necessary, medical expense, long term health issues, lost wages, loss of earning capacity, pain and suffering, mental anguish, mental health care, disfigurement, vocational rehabilitations, long term care, living expense, etc. If you have been hurt while working offshore, it's crucial that you speak to a qualified attorney. An offshore injury attorney will identify the laws that apply to your case and be able to maximize your claim. An offshore accident lawyer can provide a concrete estimate of the potential value of your claim. When should I contact an offshore accident lawyer? If you have been when should you contact an offshore accident lawyer, or when someone should contact an offshore accident lawyer? What's the perfect time? If you have been, or if someone have been involved in an offshore accident, he or she or they should contact an offshore accident lawyer as soon as possible. Make sure he or she or they do not speak with any insurance companies or lawyers representing the oil company, because before you have obtained your own counsel, Most attorneys will offer a free consultations of discussions your case. Do you need an offshore accident lawyer near you? Because most attorneys are not well versed in the nuisance of admiralty law. It's essential that you find an attorney with significant experience handling offshore cases. Successfully pursuing compensation for your offshore injuries requires a deep understanding of the complex, specialized area of maritime law. A typical personal injury attorney will not have the knowledge and experience necessary to take on the oil companies after an offshore accident. Working offshore can be exciting, but can also be dangerous. No matter how many safety precautions you take, accidents and injuries are common and sometimes fatal. Offshore workers can experience devastating injuries caused by dangerous conditions on offshore platforms, crew boats, jackup rigs, and tankers, and in the ocean itself. Workers often aren't sufficiently trained and work long hours with few breaks, making the risk of injury even higher. When a serious injury occurs in an offshore accident, it can be emotionally and financially devastating for the victim. It can also be hard to determine where to start when it comes to recovering damages from personal injury or wrongful death. A good place to start is to contact an offshore accident lawyer with experience in personal injury and maritime law who can wade through the complex details of your case and help you get the best recovery possible. Common causes of offshore accidents. Offshore and oil field accidents are often preventable. They can happen during basket transfers, line handling, vessel collisions, and diving operations or mining. Many accidents are in the same as you would encounter in many workplaces, such as equipment failures, slip and falls. But because working offshore is a more high risk workplace environment, an injury may also result from a fire or explosion. Despite the big budgets and associated with the oil industry, there is sometimes very little training and oversight on an oil rig. This type of employer negligence can result in an unsafe working environment that leads to underqualified employers and performing dangerous tasks that they aren't properly trained for, resulting in serious injury. Offshore accidents commonly lead to a head trauma, spinal injuries, severed limbs, and other serious injuries. These injuries are often specifically caused oil rig injuries. Workers on oil rigs use complex and cumbersome equipment to drill and perform other tasks. Many workers are properly trained on how to use the needed equipment, which increases the risk of offshore accident caused by human error. Deck accidents. The deck of an oil rig can be chaotic environment where frenetic workers must constantly be on high alert. Workers are surrounded by trip hazards, fall hazards, electrical hazards, crash hazards, and pinch point hazards. They can easily be struck by heavy equipment, slip on wet surface, or fall when the sudden launch of the vessel causes them to lose their balance. Equipment failure. When equipment on an offshore vessel fails, it can result in a number of severe injuries. Workers can be burned or electrocuted, crushed, and even lose limbs. Operating machinery on an oil rig requires a high level of caution to prevent injuries from occurring. Fires and explosions. While not common, fires and explosions are some of the most deadly causes of offshore accidents. They can happen as the result of improperly stored fuel, poorly maintained pipelines, or collisions between vessels. When there's a fire, workers may have to jump off the rig into the oceans, often from a height of at least 100 feet, even though the workers are typically trained in the proper way to jump, and stress of the situations may result in a jump that leads to severe injury or drowning. Accidents caused by fire and injury can lead to life altering injuries and even the loss of an entire vessel. Other vessels injuries are commonly occur on tugboats and berths. This includes failing overboard, toll and spurting, and handling heavy lines. If helicopters are used to transport workers offshore, there are risk of injuries from a helicopter crash. When someone have experienced any type of offshore accident, no matter the cause, it can be physically, emotionally traumatic. They may find themselves trying to heal from their injuries when figuring out how to deal with the loss and regular on substantial paycheck and supports their family. And FBF Law Offshore Accident Lawyer in Austin, Texas, is here to help them to determine the cause of your accident and the best way to get them a financial on their feet again. Damages in an offshore accident case. An offshore accident can be devastating to someone and someone's family. Someone may have injuries that requires extensive and ongoing medical attention and rehabilitations, leading to medical bills that seems to keep piling up. Or a family may have experienced a fatal accident that has caused endless pain and suffering. When someone has also lost their main source of income, it can feel like they will never find relief.